Welcome to Successfully Ambiguous. I'm Christine Brooks-Cappadocia.
Welcome to Successfully Ambiguous. We're all judged every moment of every day, whether it's somebody scrolling through our socials who's making a judgment on whether or not our favorite vacation spot or dinner is Insta-worthy, or first impression when you walk into a room with a group of people for the first time, or job interview. We can't control what people think about us necessarily, but we can, and we do have agency over how we react to it. And that's what I love about this conversation with Michelle Ahrens. She took the expectations others had of her, whether it was an employer who formed an opinion of her during a job interview, or her own parents who had expectations of what they wanted their daughter's future to be, and thought, I'm going to control the situation and I'm going to make sure that I embrace what truly makes me happy. A self-described rainbow, we all have things we can learn from Michelle. So let's meet Michelle.
I applied for a position. I had experience within the industry. I had what I say that I had connections, I had education, I had all these pieces that I knew I could do this opportunity. I could take it to the next level, and really wanted that to be my next step in my career. But what I didn't expect is to go through the process, and I had my doubts at the beginning. I applied. Will I get it? Is it bigger? Is it better? Like, will I have all of the needs that check the list, I guess, is really where it went from it. I don't have everything, but I know I can do it. And then I get through the process, get the job, and yes, was very, very excited because this opportunity had now been in my path. Get to the first day of a job, and then be told that you didn't actually make the shortlist. You didn't get through the process smoothly as you think you may have. And so yes, it was definitely a shocker. One of those moments where I stepped back for a second and said, what does this mean? You get a job, you're excited, and you start, and you're ready for the experience, and you've got all these ideas and these things, and you're ready to learn and grow and meet new people. And then to be told that you actually maybe didn't get it the way you thought you didn't earn it the way you thought you did. So the reality is that pushed me. I didn't actually see it as a limitation. I took it as a next step of challenge to prove that I could do what I was there to do and what I had been hired to do. And now I'm here where I am. So, I mean, every step is part of the process, and you take from it, whether good or bad, you take it and you move on and you move forward.
Right. And the reality is no candidate, you and I have done a lot of hiring together, no candidate checks all the boxes.
No.
Much as many of our takeaways on this program speak to what the job applicant might want to think about, this is also good advice for people who are hiring managers or in senior members of organizations. You never know what the person who's just taken the job hears when you say something, and you want to make sure that you've spent a lot of time and money bringing in somebody and getting them to accept the offer. Maybe don't crush their dreams on the first day.
And I think, Christine, if I could just jump in there, the other side of that is the individual who's sitting there may have way more than you actually saw on that piece of paper. And I mean, we're living in a world of AI where very easily I may not have even gotten the opportunity, because in a world where potentially a resume feed is pushing my resume right out because it didn't check all the boxes, you could be losing out on a candidate that has vast experience in different things, that brings different things to the table. So it's an interesting place to be, and to be able to have these conversations to make sure that individuals know in whatever reality, whether it's hiring or elsewhere, that list can't be the final piece of the puzzle.
The other piece that really resonated with me in your talk was talking about how limiting demographic check boxes are. I remember my brother having a conversation when one of his daughters was enrolled in elementary school, and funding was changed depending on what boxes she checked, and having a fight with the principal about which box. He was only allowed to check one box, but it was such an unfair question because it was which half of his daughter's identity did he have to erase to help this person fill out a form that didn't make any sense. Can you relate to that? Or
Yeah, I talk about that a little bit in the TED Talk. It's a very small part that I touch on, but very much part of my upbringing in the sense that I am of mixed race, and so I talk about that small child looking at the list and saying, well, which box do I fit in? Because I don't fit in just one. And so being part of, I can completely relate to what your brother is talking about in the sense of what box do you check? Because what will I get if I check this box versus that box? What opportunities are available to me? And that's just not the way to go about life or this world that we live in. There's so much beauty in the diversity that we have, and being able to put that up on the stage and say it doesn't those things don't matter. And I could literally, as a child, I used to say I'm the rainbow because I don't even know everything that's within me. So all those things come to be who I am, and I bring that background with me wherever I go, and bring those experiences with me.
I like that imagery of defining yourself as a rainbow, right? It's bright, it's beautiful. It finds strength in what many the single box checkers are trying to limit.
Right.
So you've thought a lot about narrowly defining people based on experiences or a set of criteria and about expanding those. How's that influenced your approach to your career and to the work you do?
It's really embedded in everything I do, quite honestly. So coming out of the TEDx and coming out of this time in my life, this phase in my life where I'm starting to really hold on to who I am, and what that means to the world, and have the opportunity now to explore that a little bit more. I think that for me, with everything I look at, whether it's hiring, whether it's new innovation, whatever I might be looking past what everyone expects, looking, I call it brilliantly boundless. Like that is what it is about. It's about looking past what is right in front of you and exploring or diving deeper, or figuring out what's behind even in the worst scenarios. Why is this happening? What is behind it? Because that's the only way we can move forward and look at a new way of exploring, a new innovation, a new thing for the future, or a new person to hire, because they don't fit that box, but they fit this one and may be able to bring that to the table for us. And so it's really about being boundless, and thinking beyond.
One of the things that people say is their top fear is not death, surprisingly.
Mhm.
It's public speaking. You
Yes.
took the stage in a very large auditorium for a very high profile event and owned that stage. We all need to public speak in our roles, whether we are doing something. I was reading a career question from a student today who wanted to know what role they could do where they didn't really have to talk to anybody and they could have a good career. I'm not
Mhm.
sure that those exist.
Yeah.
What advice might you give to that student in embracing the need to public speak?
And I think that it's an interesting conversation because public speaking isn't for everyone. I do understand that, but it's being able to speak about the topic that and so if that student is walking into a space and doesn't want to speak to anybody, that might be challenging. But if they understand their craft, their talent, their career, whatever it is that they're moving in with, then talking is just talking. If you're not looking at it from a point, or a vantage of what is the reaction that you're looking for or looking at, what are you expecting to come out of that, and just looking to spread a message or to share a thought or to grow as an individual, that's different. Me taking that stage, I mean, I love speaking. I think you know that of me, Christine. I love speaking and being on, able to get up on stages. That's been ever since I was young. That is something I love to do. But I know people who are very much the opposite, but can do it because they are passionate about what they're speaking about. And so if you really believe in what you're talking about, there's no reason, small, big, global, even in a meeting within an organization, if you know what you're talking about or you feel confident in what that is, you shouldn't shy away from it, because everybody can learn from the way you process that information.
That makes so much sense. You and I have the pleasure of interacting with a number of learners from all walks of life every day. Put yourself back into that frame of mind. You recently undertook an educational program as an adult learner. Tell me, think back to when you were applying. I know we talked many years about, I don't know if I have time. You've made time and you have thrived in a very, very ambitious program and taken on all these other things at the same time. Give somebody who is, a year or two behind you in terms of that application process or the getting started process as far as lifelong learning, some advice.
That's a great question. Do I even believe that I'm doing it? Is a question. Because yeah, I remember having those conversations, and it has to be the right time for you. There's a world talking about burnout, but there's also the what's right for you at the right time. And so for me, that was piling myself up with everything at the same time, but at the right time for me. I didn't do my master's in the time frame that typically people are doing their masters. You go to school, you do your education, you move on, you get your career. That wasn't the road, and that's what we're talking about here on the podcast. Is it's not always a straight road, right? So I didn't do it for many reasons. It wasn't the right time for me when I was younger. I had a young family that it wasn't the right time either. But there's no perfect time. It's just what's right for you. And so for me, this was the right time. I could do it. Then came TED and then came other opportunities. And could I handle that within my day to day? And can I see the end goal? And for me, I could. And so I think everybody needs to assess within their own sphere. But I wouldn't shy away from anything just because of time, because you will find the time if you really want to get it done.
Are there strategies you're using to find the time?
Not sleeping? No, no, that's not the best strategy. But no, I think it's really just balancing out. Before I would use my time for different things for sure, but for a year within a program or a short time while preparing for a talk, that time was carved out. That is this is something I've taken on, and now I've carved that space for that thing to be successful and really focus on whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish, and know that I can see the end. So at some point, what would I fill that time with next? Who knows? But the time was carved out so that I can be successful. And sometimes that has to shift. So never say that, this weekend I'm going to have 15 hours to spend on something. That might not happen. Things come up. We all have lives and families and other things going on. So things shift, and being open to shifting, but also thinking ahead of that. So it's really a time management scheduling game to get things done, but really knowing why I'm doing it, because I could also sign up for something and not really care. That time is going to disappear, and I won't actually put it toward the outcome.
So, based on your experience in your master's program now, are there things that have informed the way you design and develop programming that you're bringing back into the school or maybe appreciate from a different vantage point?
Yeah, the program that I'm doing right now is fantastic. I would say the number one thing, all the content, obviously, all the programming is very, very valuable. And each course that I've taken has been there's definitely stuff I've already started to implement within my role. But the people that I've met in the program have really changed. It challenged me and changed me, and made me see things from a different perspective. In some cases, it's a global cohort, so I'm able to bounce ideas off of people that I may not normally have the opportunity to do, and bring it back from a different perspective. Not only education, but what is corporate looking for? What is not for profit looking for? What is the innovator looking for? What is the entrepreneur looking for? And then bring that back to how we do the work that we do every day at the School of Continuing Studies.
You mentioned that your TED Talk, and you've mentioned it came out of a network that you've maintained, a relationship that you've maintained, and you've talked about relationships within your current educational program. Do you have any advice for viewers on how to maintain their relationships?
Authenticity, and just, I mean, it's really, for me, the TED Talk contact, we don't even really know how we connected. It might have been at a some sort of networking event in my past life. We don't even remember, but we were part of each other's network. And so could see where I'm actively on LinkedIn. I'm actively talking on about the things that I'm doing all the time in my world, and I'm seeing what others are doing in their world. So if you're engaged within an individual and continue to, it doesn't have to be a daily, weekly, even monthly. It could be drop a line every now and then. Make sure that you're speaking to them when they have great things happening in their life, but also in other parts, supporting them through challenges and or looking for advice, because that happens on social media as well. Most of my connections in my past are through those avenues. Some are stronger and some are not breaking relationships with individuals I've worked with in the past that I really connected with, that I will go out to a lunch or a dinner with every now and then. Again, it doesn't have to be all the time, but you're still part of their network. So they remember, or you remember them when it's time for something else to happen, or a next step, or you're looking for advice, or they're looking for advice. Just being consistent and authentic to who and what you believe in.
One last thing, you come to this world of education through a surprising path.
Yes.
You certainly didn't, graduate from teachers college or go into a traditional role. Can you tell us how you came into education? We hired you from another school, but how did they find you?
Yeah, that path has been, it's definitely not a straight one. So I can go as far back. I don't know how far you want me to go back, but it wasn't. I mean, did I think I was going to graduate and get the career and that would be the end of it? For sure. My parents are immigrants, so I saw them grow and do continuing education to earn their degrees in the evening. So my path was to make sure that they were proud of the work that I had done. So getting to university and then graduating was step one. I did the thing they came to Canada for me to be able to do. And then I was going to go get the career. And then I got the career and said, I could do this, but it doesn't really feed my soul. It doesn't do the things I want to do in life, because now at that point, I was just only doing what they had seen for me. No harm, no foul. That's a great career, but not something that really fed who I was. So I made a decision to go back to school. I went back to school. I did a postgraduate program and then was hired into another position that who knew it was going to take me, but it was a totally different realm, a different sector. I was working in construction, publishing, SaaS. We transitioned the company, was there for quite a long time, and had gained a lot of experience in the space of understanding marketing, understanding sales, moved around within the organization, speaking to the right people, connecting with the right networking like we talked about, and then made a strategic decision that I was going to step back from the growth that I had there and figure out what came next for me. And it wasn't me leaving my position as much as me looking at what other opportunities were there. And so after 10 years with that organization, and my life had changed. I had children at the time. They were very young and I was commuting far. So I decided, let me see what's in my neighborhood. And that's how I ended up in education, completely by chance, that I saw a posting, said I could do this, and took my experience from private sector and said, how do I make that work in the education space? It was continuing education as well. And how do I move and transition and articulate what I can do and make it matter for education? And in that, I was able to land a position within another institution and grew within that institution. And the sidebar there is that I actually left that institution after a year and then was called back to an even larger role within that organization because of the work I had done. And when I did that, started to grow even more within that institution, and then leveraged that experience and brought it to work. So it was by no means a straight line.
No, not a straight line at all, but very few careers are these days. So, Michelle, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. I think you've left us with a lot of things to think about as we grow our own careers and find our own path. And think about how we check those boxes or not.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you having me, Christine. And I think if nothing more, the boxes don't need to all be checked, and we do need to be boundless in our mindset and continue to move forward using what experience we bring to the table.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Successfully Ambiguous. Be sure and subscribe to us on YouTube and listen to us on Apple and Spotify. If you've got career questions, be sure to email me at successfullyambiguous@yorku.ca. Don't forget, when opportunity knocks, be ready to answer.